And we are live. Welcome to this episode of Blue Line Icing, presented by ThunderblogSports.com, a part of the Bullpen Cart podcast feed. I am the G-Man, Jordy Cannell, of course. Joining me, as always, is my man, Greg Piatelli from Boston, and also from just right down the street here in Philadelphia is my good friend and yours, Jared Barnes. Gentlemen, how you doing?
Go ahead, Greg.
Jordy, it's been a while since we've done a three-way, so
nice.
True. You're gonna have to you have to set us up better than that. You have to set us up better than that.
We'll start with you, Greg. How you doing?
I'm excited for our first three-way in forever, Jordy. A three-way pod with a guy who knows hockey, so I'm pumped about it.
I am too. Jared, how you feeling, man?
I'm come down. The gravel's out of my throat from the weekend here.
Yeah.
We had a nice stadium series that we'll get into here shortly.
Oh, yeah.
But I'll tell you what, Greg, it has been about 4 months since I saw you at the Thunder Cup, and it's damn good to be back with you, man.
I couldn't agree more. I love it.
I know. And check your email soon. Thunder Cup 3. Little setup email coming your way. But Jared, you mentioned it.
Hang on, before you get into it, have two people become quicker friends than
that's
Jared and I?
No, that's one of the more prouder matchings of pairings in our golf tournament. For those that didn't pick up on it, the Thunder Cup of you guys becoming fast buddies, which it just warms my heart. You guys and our good buddy Jim, who we'll reference in a few minutes at the Stadium Series, and Jake, they had a nice little Ivy League connection in their first Thunder Cup together way back in 2017. But you guys have the bromance of the tournament, I think.
I mean, we were in the cart together, and it was a lot of good shots and a lot of shitty shots, and just shots in general. The guy had a flask with him. It was the weirdest thing, and maybe a cigar. I can't really remember. But it was fun.
I mean, truer words and truer friends have never been spoken.
Truth. That's truth.
All right, well, let's get into it. So this is, as Jared mentioned, this past weekend, Stadium Series, the Flyers bringing the home and home back around, hosting the Penguins. We'll get into the game shortly, but Jared, let's for the audience, we'll recap both of our experiences. For me, it started at the Sixers game and got a little rambunctious, as you can attest. Before we got off the rails, Jared and I met John LeClair, former Flyer great. And Jared, how long was he a Penguin?
I'll tell you what, boys, you want to talk about how it went off the rails. So Johnny LeClair, my number one moment for him as a Penguini was when it was a preseason game behind the net. I know he decked Malkin somehow, and he hurt Malkin. I don't know if it was the same game or not. He was in a scrum in front of the net, and he picks the puck up and he throws it in the net when he's in the crease to score a goal. And I just remember them taking a camera shot of him and him laughing.
Oh yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
And that is my number one moment of him playing for the Penguins.
I mean, that's what he did. He was the prototype of just a large animal in front of the net who could he just knew how to clean up the garbage right in front of there. I mean, I think he scored 50 twice as a Flyer, just absolute animal when it came to being that big presence and one of definitely the American greats, UVM grad. So, he's got a nice little experience there. But yeah, I mean, definitely, Greg, the moment was Jared comes up right after we've met him. Jared comes up, meets John, and the whole bar seemingly turns to Jared. And Jared owns the moment that the whole bar, the Broad Street Bullies Pub in Xfinity Live starts to boo him. And Jared accepts it, owned it like a true champion.
I mean, is there any other way to, especially when a team like the Penguins have just owned the Flyers as of late, is there any other way to embrace that?
Well, you have to look at it this way, too. I didn't have your run-of-the-mill jersey on either, first off.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
I knew out of 70, 8,000 people that were there. Well, I'm exaggerating because they only had 69,000. Shout that
Nice.
number. I had a George LaRock jersey on.
It was incredible, Greg.
Sidebar, Jordy took an amazing photo that I tweeted at George LaRock, which he got back to me and was like, ha, 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 awesome, bro.
Tweeted back at you?
Looked at the analytics, boys. It was seen over 2,000 times on Twitter.
That's awesome.
There we go. Getting that reach.
So I get to LeClaire, I raise my hands, and I start spinning around in the bar, which then the tomahawk chop and the asshole chant started.
That's so great.
To which our good friend Denise from Lehigh, her son Chicho plays hockey with us. Talk about a faster friend to anybody, Mr. Chicho. She runs up and goes, "He's with fucking me, leave him alone," to the whole bar, and the bar was still went asshole. But yes, that's how that started, boys.
Yeah, so we have that. Then we lost the car on our way back from Xfinity. So, Greg, Denise hired a car service. She lives in Bethlehem because she works at Lehigh, and had a car drive her and her husband down. The car was over by the Wells Fargo Center. The guy ends up moving the car between the Wells Fargo Center and the Link. He was on the Broad Street side originally. None of us knew this. I lost Jared. Jared was with our good friend Justin, I believe. The three of us, we're all trying to find each other. We're calling Chicho. We finally find this dude. Our buddy Jim, who's coming to the game with us, finds us. I'm feeling it. I've been drinking since like 11. My good buddy Joe Mart, who'd come to the Sixers game.
You were in a good pace.
I was on a good pace, and I, forgetting the contents of a cookie, ate a cookie. And by the time I remembered that these cookies contained a little THC inside of them, they were edibles, if you will, it was a little too late for me. So by the time...
To quote another podcast, Banana Land Jordy was there.
Oh, yeah. Total zombie, big body high, if you will. But it was probably about 15 minutes before the game, this thing hits me. Right as fucking Gritty's doing his Lady Gaga springing down from the top of the stadium, it starts to fucking hit me. And Jared, I'll let you take over from there. You did a good job recapping my night.
Quick interjection before, let's keep the people suspensed here for a while, but quick interjection.
An emotion?
Two things, first and foremost. No worse mascot in sports than Gritty.
I agree.
Second thing,
you gotta be a Philly fan to love Gritty. That's all I'll say. It's like the Fanatic. Everybody else hates him, and we love him.
That's not true. The Fanatic's not bad. Gritty's just a scum. The second thing is there anything worse than being drunk and being like, you know what? I need something right now to soak this booze up. You know what? Fuck it. Oh, cookie, I'm on a diet. Fuck it, I'll eat it. Is there anything worse than that moment? And then add to it the story that Jared's about to tell. I mean, I can only imagine the tomfoolery that ensued.
Yeah,
go ahead, G-Dub.
I was going to say that just on that point, that's exactly how I felt. It was kind of like there was hoagies there. I don't know if we had we had a lot of chips. I had eaten a hoagie, I had some chips. I was like, oh, a little dessert. And I'm kind of like, yeah, I'm trying, as Greg said, I'm on a diet, trying to lose some weight. So I'm like begrudgingly eating this cookie, like, oh, the chocolate tastes good, blah, 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 blah. And then, we're 20 minutes later, we're in line into the stadium, and I remembered, fuck, there was weed in that shit.
So, So I said to Denise, I go, you made your chocolate chip cookies. They're famous. She goes, you don't want those. I went, oh? She goes, you don't want those, kid. And I went, oh, you didn't hear that, Jordy. I also opened up for our beer corner here later on the glove dropper while we're sitting here. So 10 o'clock at night having a nice pounder. So let me take a sip here.
Having a little Bud Light myself.
Yeah, so we get into the game, and we had awesome seats. We had the Penguins shooting twice, so if you're looking down at the arena, we had the yellow keystone of the Penguinis looking at us. Greg, we were undercover, and there was no wind. Best seats we could have ever gotten. Dumb sheer luck. Thanks, NHL, for your Black Friday special. So me and Jim Brown are sitting there. The fans around us are pretty good. There's some Penguins fans. There's a lot of Flyers fans. And Jordy's getting a little bots. So then Jordy at some point gets up to go to the bathroom, and then We lose him. And I go, Jim, where's Jordy? So we go out to the mezzanine, and I spot Jordy. I point to him. We find him. We grab some food. You got a water. You got a pretzel. I got some Chickies and Peach crab fries.
So,
and then
you walk out of the box, and Jordy was just standing.
He was where, you know, like the drunk guy look, where you're like half up and you're half back.
Yeah, I was hunched over a railing.
So we get back to the scene. We turn around again. We lose Jordy. And I look at Jim and I go, well, he's an adult, but I'm kind of worried. So then we proceed to watch the end of the game.
Listen, if you make a grown man decision, you got to deal with the grown man consequences. That's a great call, Jared.
Yeah, from my memory, I think I watched 2 periods, and the high got too much, so I decided to leave. Jim at one point called me as I was leaving the stadium.
That's when he was like, "We're gonna do this."
Yeah. So I was still in. I tried to look at what time. I tried to find the timestamp today, but my phone did not provide it to me to like confirm of when it was. But yeah,
if you had an iPhone, that would have provided that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm fine with my Google phone. Yeah. Okay. Well, we don't want to set that off. But yeah, no. But overall, awesome experience.
Yeah.
A little bit of regret of not remembering that there was weed in the cookies, but live and learn. I found out that a few other people had them and also got floored. Some other stories from some friends of people that consumed a little too much alcohol. So good to know I wasn't the only one that got a little too after it on Saturday, February 23rd. So, moral of the story. Watch your diet.
About the game itself, were there any too grosser helmets in the world? I'm fine. I kind of liked not kind of like, but I did not hate the jerseys. I didn't think they were that bad.
The only thing I liked was the Penguins jerseys. That was or not the Penguins helmet. Excuse me. The jerseys I wasn't a fan of. Hated the Flyers helmet.
Both helmets sucked. Big ones.
I thought the Penguins was okay because they zoomed in on the Penguin head, so it was kind of like it was kind of cool. But the Flyers one fucking sucked.
Okay, but are we football? Are we trying to like do stupid designs? Like, yeah. How dumb was that? So stupid.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here wearing the third Robo jersey that was from 97 to 2002 with the Penguins. My favorite jersey of all time.
Give us a little description.
What's that?
Give us a little description of it so the fans know.
All right, so for the fans, this is when the NHL, it would be the effect if you did the Kachina jersey for the Penguins. So the shoulders have gray with yellow stripes in it in a diagonal. Then the sleeves are black, and then on your left sleeve is white, gray, and then it gets lighter. Right sleeve is yellow, white, and then gray. And then you see the old school Penguins logo, yellow into the yellow of the crest, and then gray coming out the other side. Probably the most quintessential is that's when Yager became captain, as well as Ron Francis after Lemieux. That, to me, is the coolest jersey. Or the Gin and Juice Pittsburgh from Snoop Dogg. Not this bullshit that they've had in both stadium series. Like, put some old jerseys out there.
Yeah, the Flyers wore their stadium series jerseys tonight against the Sabres.
They're winning.
I don't know why you want to
watch them until they lose.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, they won tonight as well. Yeah, but not a fan. Not Brian. All the goalie helmets were cool. Brian Elliott had the Eagles wings coming off of the top of there. Carter Hart's is pretty cool. We didn't get to see it obviously because he's hurt. Even Cam Talbot's was pretty nice though. I think he had his done a little rush job, but I mean,
so do we think do we think sending Carter Hart down to the minor league? Well,
he's hurt.
I'm saying, do you think sending him down to the minor league during the All-Star break led to his injury rather than letting him sit down and rest like everyone else? Like, how dumb of a move was that?
Well, I mean, they also just sent him down for a day yesterday so that he's eligible for the AHL playoffs, provided the Flyers don't make the NHL playoffs. I don't know. I mean, the guy wants to play. He's 19 years old. I mean, it's not a dumb move, I wouldn't think. I mean, he also played, Greg, he played back-to-back days against fucking Detroit. Then he plays against Tampa when he definitely was hurt then, and he absolutely was hurt against Montreal, but then has the 2 first period pulls. I don't know why you start him in back-to-back games there, because I mean that can't be healthy.
So what's wrong with him?
Lower back injury.
Well, that's NHL code for could be any fucking thing.
Exactly. Yeah. Really, really, really specific by the Flyers. Also, I don't want to trust anything that doctors in the Wells Fargo Center say, because they are basically witch doctors.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm praying for Boban.
You know what? I think, yes, Boban Baggins. I really think that, that all that aside, I think they have to be wary with him. It's just like that young pitcher you bring up. You don't want to overdo it with him. And he's been solid, and he's given him a run. If they're doing this right now, I think it's great. When it comes to let's go to the goaltending for the game. It's a hard game to goaltend. You're in the elements. It didn't rain as much as it was prescribed to, and I'm kind of happy it didn't. But you saw on those goals that Matt Murray allowed in, which I could kill him for doing that. I mean, it's just like these are the softest goals known to man. And then the one Elliott had was softer than get out.
Classic Brian Elliott.
I mean, that was probably the only thing that made that game bad. I mean, the Penguins lost Letang and Dumoulin in the game, which has then brought us to the trade deadline here. But, overall, I hated the outcome. But it was a great game. I can't wait till they do Beaver Stadium here in 2 years. Put it on the board, NHL. Tell Penn State to hurry the hell up.
So I read on that, because Matt and I were talking about it a little bit on Sunday. Apparently they need to update the fake Matty D. Shout out to him. Matt from Malvern, as I was trying to get him to call into this program, but he is driving home from the Flyers game currently. We were talking a little bit, though, that Penn State apparently needs to update the plumbing in Beaver Stadium, because apparently it's not winterized, and they think that having 100,000 people using it would potentially ruin the plumbing.
It's winter 10 and a half months out of the year.
That's what confuses me, because a lot of Penn State games in October are practically January weather, but I don't know. Apparently that's the big thing, though, is that they need a little bit of a financial injection into Beaver Stadium.
So can we talk about how you could argue one of the better franchises in the NHL in the last 10 years had a 3-1 lead and blew it?
Yeah, that's the Penguins for you. That's been the Penguins ever since I've been born. We get up, and then it's like, hey, guys, we're doing right, and we're going to go on cruise control. And every single time it happens.
I feel like it's been a lot. It's been pretty prevalent throughout the NHL this year. I mean, the Flyers have done it a lot, and we've talked about their issues. I feel like we've seen a lot of different late action. I don't know if it's the frequency of more calls or not, because certainly there was the 4-on-4 that led to the 4-on-3 at the end of this game that led to the tie, or led to at least the first goal. But I don't know. I feel like there's something about teams that just want to keep clawing it this year more so than I feel like I've seen the last couple of years.
Well, did you boys hear that was? I found this out tonight listening to the Pens game on Sirius XM, listening to the home feed. That was the first game the Penguins didn't have a power play all year.
Really? It's also the first game I read against the Flyers that they've never had a power play in the regular season.
Yep.
In like almost 300 meetings, which in 50 years, it feels like they probably would have played more games, but who am I to count?
Yeah. I'm not a numbers guy.
Yeah. But Greg, I mean, I don't know if it's really an indictment against the Penguins, because I'm not even going to say it's a positive to the Flyers. The Flyers did keep fighting. But I mean, I think the outdoor games, you can't really, it's harder to try to put an indictment towards the Penguins, because it's a different environment. There's a little bit more, not to be too punny, but you're a little more outside your element than you normally are. You can say what you will about, especially the one that ultimately tied it up, but I don't know if it's necessarily an indictment to them or anything. If, you want to be afraid if you're Jared or any other Penguins fan of going down the stretch here.
Yeah, you keep going back to the decision to keep Matt Murray and let Marc-Andre Fleury walk out the door. And it makes it seem like because they were thinking future, I get it, but at the same time, your window of Sidney Crosby's prime is not running out, but it's getting smaller. So why not ride the better goalie during that time? Why go with the younger player who is clearly struggling and clearly has been hurt every year? Even when Fleury is on the team, he gets hurt every year. So he had one good playoff run, but like what? Why do you not keep the guy who's proven himself?
So I'll speak to that. Fleury's time, as much as I like Marc-Andre the Flower, his time was up in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is very fickle, like any sports base, but especially with hockey. Between the hockey and the Steelers, the Pirates, who knows what the hell they're going to do this year. It really was Fleury's time to go. Matt Murray, if you take a look at it, even though he's won back-to-back cups in his rookie and sophomore years, when his father passed away suddenly, goalies are such a mental midget in the NHL or anywhere. It's like a kicker in football. Shout out to Cody Parkey. That really took a turn for him on his psyche. And that's one where I keep looking back to that as the turning point of his on and off games. He still has a lot of benefit and a lot of chance. However, as much as hindsight's 20/20 and Fleury's doing great out in Vegas, I think we really got to take a look at our goalie prospects. You got Tristan Jarry, who they sent back down. You got Casey DeSmith. We really got to see what's going on. And I forget who we picked up. We picked up another goalie, I thought. Trying to take a look here.
What, on the deadline or over the offseason?
I think maybe over the offseason. I can't remember. But he neither here nor there.
So how do you feel about the Penguins adding defensive depth? Because when we've done blue line icing throughout the year, at the trade deadline, Penguins adding defensive depth. But when we've done blue line icing pod throughout the year, the message has always been for Jordy and I, when the Penguins make a run, when the Penguins make a run, when the Penguins make the playoffs, they'll be there, no problem. When is that run happening, one? And two, is there a chance that they legitimately don't make the playoffs this year?
So I was speaking to my dad today. Good old Reed, as my buddy Jordy has heard on the phone before. It's like me talking to myself, which is a scary fucking thought.
It really is.
Oh, man. So you want to talk about depth, or I'm going to say it's debt, because we downgraded from Jamie Oleksiak. How do you do that? We essentially, that trade never happened because they got a fourth-rounder back for him. Okay. Eric Goodbranson, who by the numbers, and I've seen this in the Post-Gazette, I'm seeing it on ESPN, the worst defenseman, worse than Jared Actually, no, I'm probably worse than him.
Wait. So who's this? The guy you got or the guy you gave up?
It's the guy we got yesterday. He is like his numbers. It's something to I'm going to pull these up real quick because it's glorious. So in let's see here. In the regular season this year, you guys want to think. What do you think his plus minus is?
Hit me with it.
-27.
Yikes.
Jeez.
83 cents.
He's coming from where? LA, right?
No, he came from I think the Oilers.
Yeah, I mean that's also probably a big part of it.
Yeah, he came from he came from the Canucks. 2 goals, 6-6 for 8 points, gentlemen, in 57 games played. He has a 2.8% shots on goal. He has 72 shots on goal for 2.8% of the time he's scoring. Oh, he does have a game winner though. That everything's looking up.
There you go. A little positive there.
18 minutes ice time per game.
So you don't think it helps the team?
Oh, not at all. I will be 100% with you. The jury's out because every once in a while you'll get a diamond in the rough. But if this, I think we are going to be decimated by injuries we may make the first round. If we play the Flyers, it'll go 7 games.
Well, the Flyers
that's the Flyers. If the Flyers can claw their way back out of there,
the Flyers aren't making it.
It's a stretch.
I just can't. They're not making it. I can't imagine a playoffs that doesn't have Crosby in it.
Yeah, my whole thought has been my whole thought's been kind of like what I'd said to Greg during way back in December when he and I did a fun VTL about the NFL and about the Patriots, is that it's Crosby Ovechkin's spots until it's taken away from them. So I mean, Carolina, they are really looking like they are actually the real deal, even though their scoring isn't up to where it could be comparatively to some teams in the NHL, but they look like they're hanging on to this. The Islanders, I mean, they're tied with Washington, but you got to think the Penguins make a run here. And like Greg's saying, when is it going to happen? But I mean, they're 5-5 in their last 10, and Carolina, if they slip up a little bit, because they're tied right now. The only reason why they have the 3rd spot over the Penguins is that they have an extra win. So
they have it in hand.
Yeah. I think unless ESPN's not updated, or is Carolina not done yet? Maybe it's just not updated. Yeah. So yeah, if they have a game in hand, then that's part of it too. Yeah, but I mean, you got to think that they slip up a little bit, and the Penguins make some run. Now that said, I mean, if the Caps don't somehow surpass the Islanders, same situation there. They're currently tied where the Islanders have games in hand. And that's Penguins Capitals in the first round. I mean, that could be a really intriguing series, considering up until last year, the Penguins had their number. And if physicality was what they went for, that's something that they could probably make a move for, or make at least a series out of, especially with DSP out. He just got put on waivers from the Caps. So who knows?
Well, the other thing is, too, you have to remember, and, talking about, since this is a trade deadline, blue line as well, I mean, the Caps just picked up Carl Hagelin.
Yeah.
I mean, damn it. And yes, we've had Holtby's number, but that's a game where I could see us getting, or a series where it would either go the full gamut or we'll get swept. Honestly, the Penguins are so frustrating this year. I think it's Jim Rutherford's first of 3 years on his extension, and we know Jim likes to pass around and play the shell game with players. We have to see if this team gels. I know Jared McCann had 2 goals tonight. He doesn't have 2 R's. We won't hold that against him in his name. And Bustad has been pretty good too. So those guys have been great. But I don't know, boys. That's enough about the Penguinis. Let's talk about something else that's at least uplifting.
Yeah, so let's get.
I mean, right now they're in a playoff spot, but with Columbus absolutely loading up.
Yeah, you want to start there with the trade deadline?
But we still beat them tonight, Greggy.
I hear you, but Columbus loads up. And,
oh my God, they did.
I mean, granted, you could. I don't foresee Montreal holding us or keeping on to that spot. So hopefully,
I don't think so either.
Hopefully, the Penguins can take that. But I mean, it's a 3-team race, right? Columbus, like you said, you want to talk about Columbus and the moves they made, but they're going all in.
Yes, I agree.
How do you guys feel about that? Because for those not caught up, Columbus traded for a number of players. They got Matt Duchene. They got Dzingel. They decided to hold on to Panarin and Bobrovsky, both of whom are UFAs this offseason. It seemed like Panarin was going to be gone. At some point, it seemed like he was going to go either to Chicago, to maybe St. Louis, to Winnipeg, somewhere in the Western Conference, probably in the Central Division. Then they just decide, fuck it, we're going all in on this. And they're allegedly going to try to spend whatever money that they were going to use on Panarin and Bobrovsky on Duchene and Dzingel. How do you guys feel about that? Because I don't know. I think it's a weird situation if you're a Blue Jackets fan. I mean, enjoy this ride while you can. I don't know necessarily how we're going to be feeling come fall of where the Blue Jackets are sitting.
So I guess my thing is, are they trying to maybe entice these guys to stay in terms of, oh, look what you guys did in half a season, imagine, or less than half a season, imagine what you can do in a whole season?
Maybe.
Like, is there any possibility that they're able to sign all of these guys in the offseason?
That's the tough thing, is that how do you do that where a guy like Panarin feels like he's that he's having the right AAV? How does Bobrovsky feel like that? Because how many times has he won the Vezina in Columbus? Twice, 3 times? And he's proven to be an elite goaltender. And if he can go somewhere to another team, he could get paid the money that he thinks he deserves, or that his agent, not to get too much into the agent talk and potentially get into Scott Boras talk, but if that's what, I know. But if that's what if that's what he's thinking, he could just walk. So I mean, the one thing I was going to say with some other teams that decided to sell their upcoming UFAs, I think this team didn't see what happened with the Islanders with potential UFAs that are going to go out and potentially either join a Toronto, even though I don't think Toronto has any more money probably to spend on superstar UFAs, but a team like that.
Wow.
And get that money, and instead of getting what they possibly could have, go all in, which, it's an old school approach, but good for you for the, for the next 4 months or 3.5 months.
I mean, Mr. Universe is not going to take the hometown discount. Let's be real. Bob is not going to do that. And
Mr. Universe was Brizgalov on that 2012 Flyers team. Yeah, it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah,
I like the reference though.
I'm a reference guy. Even when I get them wrong.
Oh, it's a great reference.
It really all depends on, because Torts is Torts. Man, I don't know. I think Columbus, they're seeing kind of for right now, their door closing on making the playoffs because they're the redheaded stepchild in the Metro. They've been so close, but when you have the Caps, you have the Penguins, and Barry Trotz bringing the Islanders out of God knows where, and you got Hendrik Lundqvist crying. I think that's the most shocking thing out of the whole trade deadline. You got King Hendrik weeping. I think Columbus, and we'll get to that in a second, but Columbus, I think they're going all in this year. I really think that. I don't know if they're going to re-sign these guys, but I think they're going to give it a good college try.
Yeah, so they actually have an interesting schedule to go through March and the first week of April. They play the Penguins 2 more times. They play the Bruins 3 times. So that's going to be an interesting defensive battle for you, Greg. They play the Islanders once, but they also play some lesser teams. I mean, they play Ottawa to close out the season, the Rangers, who just sold off. They play Buffalo. They play Montreal, and we'll see where Montreal is possibly sitting at the end of the season. The Western Conference opponents, Vancouver, Edmonton. So they might be able to make some sort of, win those games that you have to. And if they can claw out a win against the Penguins, maybe a win against the Bruins or a win against Carolina, we might be finding them in that 3 spot, maybe the high wild card, and they don't have to draw Tampa. I think if you're a wild card team, even just for that sole fact of not having to draw Tampa Bay in the first round, at least that helps you there.
So my only thought about Columbus is that 2 things. One, do you think the GM pulling this move, one, not only to save his job, but
Ekalainen,
maybe he wants to get rid of Torts. Maybe that's the thing. Maybe it's I went all in, gave you all these superstars, and you still can't win.
Yeah, he's basically saying to the franchise, don't blame me, blame Torts, is what you're saying.
Yeah, that was one of my thoughts, and the other thought was,
how long has he been the coach of Columbus, Tortorella?
3 years,
something like that. Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, I feel like
because Yarmo is 3 years in. Let's see here, Yarmo, how many years? Oh, this is his playing career.
Yeah, Jared, I think you're right at 3.
Yeah.
What was your other thought, though, Greg? Well, Jared looks up that number.
So with the one guy, I think they're fine with walking is the goaltender, and simply because if we're learning anything from this NHL, the goaltending players are going to score. The NHL wants to create goals. The NHL wants to have as many goals as possible. So the one position, I know you as the Flyer fan, you don't want to hear this, but the one position that you can get away with having above average goalies or above average players is the goalie. So for me, I feel like if you have a million guys who can score and then you have like a decent goalie,
Or you have a tandem. I mean, to your point, as a Flyers fan, that's how they made the Cup 8 years or 9 years ago now. Yeah. But they just had a tandem of dudes who stepped up when one guy got hurt. Yes. I mean, it's a fair point.
Yeah, and so that sort of in terms of re-signing guys, I feel like that's the one guy you let go. But my only thought process is really those two things is are they are they trying to re-sign everyone and say, oh, look what you guys can do with X amount of whatever, or is he trying to get rid of the coach?
So boys, he was a mid-season replacement, 15-16. This would be his third full season.
Tortorella or Yarmo?
Torts. So came in 8th in the Metro the first year, missing playoffs, 16-17, 3rd in the Metro and lost to the Guineas. 4th in the Metro, 17-18 and lost to the Caps, and then you're this year. So 3.5 years.
Okay. And 3 straight playoff appearances. Yeah, I mean, Greg, you might be onto something there, whether or not you're trying to figure it out. I mean, looking at to a point, though, of solid goaltending, I mean, they are, in terms of goals allowed in the Eastern Conference, they're, not the lowest. They're not even top 5. Tampa, Boston, Toronto, and Carolina are all ahead of them. And then way ahead of everybody else in the East is the Islanders. So, I mean, you can say what you will about defense in front of them and, and everything there. But, Greg, you might be onto something with everything with Bob. But he might have been hurt for a little bit of the year, too. So that might not all be on Bobrovsky. But, it's a fair point.
Torts is the winningest U.S. coach ever, U.S.-born coach.
Yes, he is.
Rises the hell out of me. But
yeah, I mean, he likes to shit his pants, or he likes to tell when people are shitting their pants. Yeah. If you did not see that, he was I think he was talking about Panarin, actually, of why he didn't play in a game and was trying to be subtle about it, then eventually just said he's shitting his pants. What do you want me to tell you? But Greg, let's stay in the East on the trade deadline. Your Bruins made a quiet, but I think a pretty solid move. You want to talk about it a little bit?
So they had 2 moves.
They had 2.
Yeah, I mean, they made one a couple days earlier. Trading away Ryan Donato, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And picking up Coyle, who brings second line to third line depth that they need. And then, of course, they get Johansson yesterday, who also that second line scoring, because they're only getting production from the first line, to the point now where the first line being Bergeron, Marchand, and Pastrnak, where they had to split up those 3 guys, and Pastrnak has been playing on the second line with Krejci before he got hurt. So they had to split up the top line in order to spread out some of the scoring. And when you have the best line in hockey in the playoffs, you obviously want to keep them together. So the idea and the thing around this was, let's get some forward depth for our defense is fine, our goalie is fine. Let's get some forward depth for the second and third line. Now, the experts, quote unquote experts out there, thought the Bruins should have gotten better forwards and more goal scorers, but this move not only helps the Bruins this year, but helps them in the coming years. So Ryan Donato was one of their top forward prospects and goal scoring prospects, and in 3 games with the Minnesota Wild since the trade, he already has 5 points. So it looks bad, and scoring wise, it's going to be down the road. It's going to be, we can't believe Donato. Why do we get rid of him? He's going to be that good of a scorer, but for this team and for the core and the way they're built, they need the 2 guys they got, Coyle and Johansson, really fit their system and the Bruins mold of those tough forwards that play 2-way hockey, that play both ends of the ice, which Donato did not.
Yeah, no. I like that, and it's going to definitely be I agree with you. I think when Donato gets a little more seasoned into the league, I think you might wonder that, but I think you're right. I think that fits into the mold that they've built. And I mean, honestly, like they're getting ready. They're gearing up for another war with Toronto in that first round. And, if they can play that physical game, slow down those guys a little bit, get them a little banged up. And, that might be the way to grind out that first round series again.
Which again is so dumb, because They have the second best record in all of the NHL, and Toronto has the third best record in all of the fourth best record in the whole NHL.
It's third and fifth.
Right. But the point is that
Calgary has more points.
The point is that there's no reason why the two of them should be playing each other in the first round. It's just so silly.
Yeah, I was actually talking to this with a couple guys over the weekend. Originally I'd been all in on the playoff format, and I like the concept of building rivalries in the first of doing it out of the first and second round. But
Wednesday night rivalries.
It's only in the playoffs. But yeah, at least with the Metropolitan this year, we're getting two teams who I think Carolina has not made the playoffs in the current format, and the Islanders I think have only once, and they technically had to play out of the Atlantic Division because they were a wild card team. So we're at least getting that. But yeah, Boston, Toronto, at least that's a established original six series, so that could be fun. But I agree with you. It's frustrating to see one of those teams have to leave so early on and not make it into the month of May.
And I would be saying this. I'd be saying this too if it wasn't the Bruins, because you look at the other side of things, and
it stinks that the Penguins and Capitals in the last couple of years they've basically clogged up, and really since this format started, they've clogged up that second round. The second round, one of them at least in the Metropolitan. It's I guess you can make the argument I made before. It's theirs until it's not, but.
Yeah, and as it stands, you're getting San Jose, Vegas first round, Winnipeg, St. Louis first round. If the playoffs end today, and it's just dumb.
Well, it's what's really dumb about the San Jose Vegas is you're getting a rematch of a playoff series from last year, which obviously is only 2 years old because Vegas is only 2 years old. But you're getting in the first round, but San Jose has 13 more points than Vegas does. They have 3 teams in between them there, all of whom just happen to be in a different division. So it's a little crazy there, especially with if Dallas squeaks in and they're a team that San Jose probably would be playing as the 7th seed, and Calgary just gets to draw that, or Nashville gets to draw them because they won the division. I don't know. I'd be fine with going back to if you're going to do the 4 divisions, do 1 through 8, but have 1 and 2 be the 2 division winners. That way at least it makes more sense than 1, 2, and whatever the 3rd division winner is, if it's 3 or 4, like it was when it was still 6 divisions. I don't know.
And before we get Jared's take, Jordy, do you just want to run through what the new format is in case anyone doesn't know?
Yeah, so if you're not aware, it's basically through each division has their own playoff system, and the top 3 finishers in each division. So right now the Central Division is Nashville, Winnipeg, St. Louis, get 1, 2, and 3. Then the Pacific is Calgary, San Jose, Vegas. So they get 1, 2, 3. The 4th seeds are determined as wild cards. So it does not matter which division they are in, but the next 2 highest teams in the conference get the wild card spots. The first wild card plays the lower of the 2 division winners. So in this case, Nashville would play Dallas, and the second wild card right now would be the Minnesota Wild, who we'll talk about in a minute, as they made a couple intriguing moves. They would play Calgary, but the idea was to build rivalries through the playoffs, and you've seen Penguins Capitals most prominently of this have now played, I believe 3 times in the Crosby Ovechkin era, comparatively to just once, where basically you're trying to manufacture these divisional opponents to play each other more often. Some people I was pretty excited about it, and I've gone back and forth. Right now, I'm not a fan, as Greg was saying, that top teams in the league are exiting in the first round because they've had to play other top 5 teams. So, Jared, what's your take on this? We were kind of debating between ourselves, and we need to hear what you think.
I'm just trying to get over who's on the top line again, Greg, for the Bruins.
Was the accent came out a little bit?
I think Pasternak. I'm a dude from Pittsburgh, and we're Yinzers with our hard R's and H's. Are you going downtown? Now, got downtown, so I understand completely. I just wanted to make sure that I knew what the hell you were talking about.
We got pasta, Marchand, and Bergie.
There you go. That's better. Thank you. And a sweet Dunkin' Donuts in your penalty box.
Great commercial.
It is. That is. It's pretty good. That's pretty good. And so is the rub and tug going to be in the locker room or in the other penalty box?
Different sport.
Okay.
Training room, right? Training room, little post-game rub down.
Oh, how you doing? With the Bruins, it's, looking here and the site I'm looking at saying, it doesn't fit snugly. What team, when you trade, at any point does it fit snugly? Unless it's not always necessarily going to work out. And I look at Brassard, who came over to the Penguins this year. He even said it didn't fit. And then he's been traded 3 times already. So you might not have a player that ever fits. And I think it's with a lot of these teams. I hate to be the guy to be politically correct and say it's too early to tell. But you look at Donato, to talk about him, Jordy, with the Wild. Mm-hmm. He's already scored the overtime game winner.
Yeah, he's got
5 points, you said?
5 points in 3 games since he's been with them.
Wild. Yep. Literally.
Yeah, and like we said, he's gonna be one of those players that in 4 years it's gonna be like, how did the Bruins get rid of him? He's such a good player. He has so many points, like what they did with Tyler Seguin and even Joe Thornton. Yeah, exactly. Even Joe Thornton at the time. Big Jumbo Joe.
Yeah, he almost had the opportunity to whip his cack out the other day for scoring 4 goals
against the Bruins
in a loss.
Gotta sneak that one in.
Always.
How many points in a row is it, or games of the point in a row? Is it 10 or are we higher?
It's more than that.
Yeah, I mean that. Talk about fucking streaks. Tampa at 9 wins in a row. The Bruins at double digits with a point. I mean, whew.
Father Time says, "I'll let you go, Joe."
Yeah. Doesn't even make sense. But no one knows what it means, but it's provocative.
Oh, my God. All right, boys. Who else do you think won this trade deadline?
Eastern Conference only? Are we sticking with the Eastern Conference?
Yeah, we'll stay in the East. We'll move over to the West in a minute. But who else in the East do you think were big winners on this trade deadline Monday?
I mean, the only person in the East I feel like is Columbus. You have to say won it.
Yeah.
Now, something I want to talk about is,
what you chewing on over there, dude? What's the food review like?
It was a late dinner. Sorry, I had it on mute for a while, but we were talking, so I had to take it off mute. So Jordy can edit that part out. All good. I feel like that was a Matty D move, eating dinner in the middle of a pod.
Matty D, you hear him cutting his food on air. So, Greg, you're all good, buddy.
His mouth open, you're fine.
He talks with food in his mouth. Don't worry, you're all set.
I'm just curious. Drinking a beer.
We're not criticizing Melanie's food. I must point that out.
No.
So my only thing is to end the trade deadline. If you're Henrik Lundqvist, you're looking around and you said, okay, they traded every single good person. There's not really a ton of there's no big name young guys that are around me. Why did I not get traded? But why did I not get traded?
Does he have a no trade clause? I tried to look that up and couldn't find it.
But even if he does, wouldn't you want to go to a team that has a legit shot? Like
for the second year in a row, they've traded away, like you said, young guys. They're talented guys, and they've held on to him. I mean, is his contract that undesirable?
I don't know, but there are teams out there that needed a goalie.
Need a goal?
Yeah.
One of my buddies I used to work with, the infamous Joe Tona of Thunder Cup fame, was pissed. Was pissed, not as pissed as he was playing golf with us, where he snapped his driver in one solid motion of his golf swing.
The Iceman
was pissed they didn't get rid of him a year ago. Simply because he loves Hank, but simply for the fact that the Rangers could at least get something for him instead of paying him all this money, bringing up somebody to try to groom another goalie. I mean, at some point you gotta figure it out. Like you said, somebody else needs a goalie, and bottom 4 finishes in the Metropolitan. I know 2 years ago you won a round, so you at least had some hype there, but something's got to get.
Calgary is a perfect example in the West, needs a goalie. St. Louis, I mean, there are teams all up and down. I mean, the Islanders, Carolina, fucking Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, teams all over the place need goalies.
Yo, but the Rangers picked up a Lemieux.
Yeah, they did. Let's talk about. You want to talk about that trade for a second? Kevin Hayes for Lemieux, as you said. I don't have his first name in front of me.
Lemieux.
Thank you. And a first rounder. I mean, they got a nice little haul for Kevin Hayes.
Is that a relation to your
Jared,
boy Lemieux?
can you confirm? Is it a relation?
Is to Claude Lemieux.
Ah, all right. Solid enough. I mean, that's pro.
Yeah,
Pro's
I know,
pro.
right? You know, and really, I don't know if you want to talk about the other subtraction with Zook.
Yeah, that was, as you alluded to before, that was the big sadness of Hank was trading away. Aside from Lundqvist, was he the most tenured Ranger?
I think so.
Yeah. I mean, so these guys have been together for how long? And
yeah, because they got rid of McDonough last year. They got rid of a couple other guys who've been there forever.
But just the sheer fact that he goes and he went to the Stars, correct?
Yes.
And then he breaks his fucking arm.
Yeah.
Like, was that there? Was there a hairline? Did they get lucky with it? If you could call it lucky, like you don't know. But that's like, damn, when it rains, it pours for this guy.
Yeah. Definitely a rough look there. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you're absolutely right though that it's an interesting spot that they've been in. I mean, they traded Adam McQuaid too. We didn't even mention that to Columbus when we were talking about the Blue Jackets. And they got a couple draft picks there. They got a couple prospects.
So this is what they got, Jordy. Just to give you
give me the skinny.
The 2009 conditional first round pick, 2019, 2009. They're turning back time. 2019 conditional first round pick, hot tub time machine. 2019 conditional second, 2019 fourth round, 2019 seventh round, a 2020 conditional third round, a 2022 conditional fourth rounder, and Julius Bergman. That was the haul from all the trades.
Yeah, so I mean, you got a lot of draft picks. You can reload. I mean, I don't have the AHL standings in front of me. Are they good? Do they have any prospects coming up? Do we know? Can they call up some guys, get them some NHL experience?
40-man rosters are coming soon.
Yeah.
Get ready.
Ooh. Yeah.
I mean, the fix is in for our boy from the World Juniors, right?
Yeah. Shit. Hughes in Ranger red, white, and blue. Rather see that than the Devils. I mean, fuck both of those teams. Send them to fucking LA. Send them to Chicago. Let Chicago get the fix in and have them win another fucking lottery like they did with Patrick Kane.
Woo.
No, I just hate the Rangers and the Devils. Jared, we've talked about this before. As much as I dislike the Penguins, I really fucking hate the Rangers and Devils. Mainly because the Devils in the 2000s and the Flyers, a lot of bad blood there.
The Rangers' top prospect is a goalie.
Okay, coming back to it. So
the
Rangers
top prospect is a goalie? Why Henrik Lundqvist is 36 years old?
Yeah,
I don't get it, man.
Yeah, no, it's a fair point. You want to use that though, because he goes over to Winnipeg. So let's transition over to the West. Winnipeg adds Kevin Hayes. Or Jared, did you have one last point on the East?
Great addition.
Oh, I said go. Let's go to the West.
Yeah. So a fantastic addition for Winnipeg. And their team, I mean, they have plenty of goal scoring. They're 210 goals. Best in the Central Division. Actually, second best behind Chicago. But Chicago now, after losing a few games in a row, is out of what seems like could be, I guess they're 5 points back, but they seem like they now have a few too many teams to hopscotch to get into a playoff spot. But yeah, I mean, adding a solid forward, a young guy who probably is on his way to a nice little ticket whenever he re-signs, if it's with Winnipeg or if he goes somewhere else, especially if Winnipeg makes a run. But yeah, the Jets, I mean, I think they're gearing up to try to surpass Nashville. They're 3 points, they're 3 games less played than the Preds. They are only a point back. So, if they can avoid having to play St. Louis, who is white hot right now, for as shaky of goaltending as they've had from Jake Allen, their backup, who's been outstanding, the rookie. if he holds on to it, great. But if you can get that first round, that first round top spot, and you have to play Dallas, Minnesota, who they traded away a guy who we'll talk about in a minute to the Predators. You have to play Arizona, you have to play Vancouver if they somehow sneak in there, Colorado, which I wouldn't necessarily want to play the Avalanche, but getting that top spot and adding enough goal scoring to really arm yourself up is the name of the game, and that's what they've done. And we'll see how that second round war with Nashville goes, because they have Pekka Rinne's number, and that might be the way to send it over the top.
Yeah, I think with the Jets, they're really hitting their stride, and they have been. But I just think it's been time for them to really make the splash now and say, okay, we're here, we've rebuilt, we've come over, we're ready to go. And it's nice to see that. I mean, you got Buff there. Look at that guy. I mean, he's just done great. And with who they've brought together the last couple of years, like with Stastny, they're gonna be somebody to reckon with. Yeah,
and that's a really good point, because that's exactly what they brought in Stastny last year for. And adding that just to Line A, to Scheifele, to that whole squad that can score at will. I mean, they go into a place like they go into Vegas, score 6 goals, a team that we're going to talk about in a minute, who it probably might be the big winner, but they need that. I mean, they've had a couple low scoring games outside of that where they've only scored 1 goal, 2 goals, 3 goals here and there, but they let up a lot of goals. So I mean, they're not necessarily going to win with over the top firepower, but I think having depth helps. Greg, what is your take?
Is Byfuglien done for the year? Or is he coming back?
Let's take a look. It's a good question, because he has been banged up for a while. What's your take on their additions?
Wasn't he on the IR for a while?
Yeah, he's still on. He was put on IR on Saturday.
Oh, so he's definitely done.
Yeah, it's good for Jared to pay attention to everyone.
Well, no, it's not about that.
No, it's all good, because that's a fair point. I mean,
it's more about
he's one of the guys you don't fuck with in the NHL. Let's see. I don't have an official if he's out for this year or not, but he's on the IR.
Exactly, and if they lose him, it was not about that, Jared. It's more about if you lose him for the year. That's why I asked, because the move then, if you knew he was going to be out, because since you put him on IR on Saturday, if you knew you're going to lose him, go out and get a defenseman, because yes, 100%. Hayes fits in nicely, fills in as a second line center for them, second line player, no problem. Relieves some of the scoring from the first line, Blake Wheeler and all that. But I mean, Byfuglien, like you guys hit the nail on the head. No one messes with him. He's a great defenseman, and Tyler Myers also on their team, 6'8" guy.
Oh yeah, good call.
So they have these monster defensemen, but you go out and Byfuglien's about to be hurt for a while. Why not go and get a defenseman to help, at least in the playoffs in the run?
So to that point, they picked up Nathan Boileau.
Yep.
And I mean, he's looking so far this year: 3 goals, 4 assists, 7 points. He's a 1 with plus minus 32.
Who'd they pick him up from, Jared?
They brought him in from uno momento, por favor. Statistics. Let's go into that. They got him from your Buffalo Sabres.
So when Jordy goes back and actually edits this, which he should do, but when he goes back and edits this, he'll take out that whole part where we're looking for the name. He'll just make it seamless transition. We'll be there. Good to go. No problem.
Do it live. Let the viewers know.
Little inside baseball. All I really do is cut out a lot of oohs, ahs, and some silence in between for.
We're not saying it. Okay, never mind.
But a little bit of the silence, because sometimes there's a little bit of delay on the Google Hangouts. For everybody to know, the little blast inside baseball. Giving Jared the skinny on the Google Hangout show, because this is his first online show. He's always done the in-person pods. But anyway.
Wait, this is happening on the line?
On the line. Yes, on the line.
Is this the interwebs?
The files are inside the computer.
Oh, buddy, a series of tubes?
What was that?
Just made 15 cents somewhere.
But let's stay in the Central Division. The Predators made a couple pretty nice acquisitions. I think 2 guys that fit them pretty well. One
Jordy,
came from the Flyers with Simmer, which I'm bummed about, but we knew that was coming. Greg, the first hit to the Prophet. The first hit to the Prophet, Greg. You said he was not going to get moved, and he got moved. Wade Simmons.
I said from the beginning of the year they should have gotten rid of him.
No, but you went on record. I think either the last Blue Line Ice and the previous one, the Flyers weren't going to trade anybody.
Well, the question was,
I said Simmer was gone, so who's the Prophet now?
The question was, I believe the exact quote was, with their recent success and with Carter Hart and them winning, do they make a playoff run and keep everyone? Now, from the beginning of the year, which is the real prediction which I made in the beginning of the year, it was always, why are the Flyers missing? Why are the Flyers messing around with all these guys who are not helping them now or in the future? And why not go out and bring up some of their young prospects? Because all I hear about from you, they're doing it now.
Fletcher's bringing them up. It was that was Hextall. We're in the Fletcher era now.
My point is
let's talk about it.
They should have been doing it a while ago. Anyway, so
let's talk about it for Nashville, because I think Backlund's a great addition too, or Grenland. But I think Simmer fits that Nashville Smashville attitude really well. And I think especially for a team that, they can score goals pretty well, but just a good defensive forward who also he gets physical and he plays hard in front of the net. Yeah. He plays hard along the boards. I think that's a huge addition for him. And like we mentioned, if Bufflin comes back for Winnipeg, if they have to play St. Louis in the first round, if they somehow have to play a team like Dallas, who did add some guys whenever Zuccarello comes back, Arizona could mess around with them. Vancouver could mess around with them if they somehow claw their way back into this thing, because they're young and quick. But the physicality is the name of the game in Nashville, and I think that's a great addition for them.
Yeah, and they got a guy like Bonino. They picked up Boyle. They got all these forward, and clearly they're trying to load up on forwards because
that's what they need.
Everyone knows they're set on defense. Obviously, they have Rene and net, so really they need help on the forward side. And the pickup of Boyle, the pickup of Simmons, and the other guys you guys mentioned really, really solidifies the forward position for them and gives them depth up and down their roster. Underrated Bonino, his playoff acumen, especially with the Penguins. So I have a feeling, like every year, the Penguins are going to make a nice little run here. The Predators. Sorry, the Predators. The Predators are going to make a nice little run here. And I really think that they did what they needed to do, regardless of what everyone else was doing. They did what they needed to do. Or they felt they needed to do to keep up and make sure that they could make another deep run, if not win a cup.
Yeah, I totally agree. Jared, what do you think?
Not to overlook it, boys, but there's something that, it's a fun fact. Who's Simmer reunited with?
With Peter Laviolette, former Flyers coach.
Play with a little jam, boys. Yeah, that's going to make a difference. That really is. And I think with Smashville, they're going to be a hard team, as they have been, as I've seen firsthand in the playoffs here 2 years ago. Was it 2? Yeah, 2 years ago now. In the Cup Finals, I think they're better. I think that it makes sense to ship Hartman to Philly. And watching the game tonight, I saw the difference he made already in Philadelphia here. It's
leveled Rasmus Dahlin. 5 minutes
into the game. And then he played it up to the fans like me and Broad Street Bullies.
Oh, yeah. And then he and your boy, Greg Bogosian, had a nice little scrum. Anyway, but finish the point on Nashville.
You know what? I really think they did well. I'm seeing a grade of A-. I think that's very fair with it. And you know what? They're going to be tough. I think I could see them making the conference finals again.
Oh, I totally agree. I think as much as Winnipeg did a great job adding Hayes. I think this is finally, as Greg was mentioning, loading up on forward. I think that's how they can finally try to figure out how to get over that hump with Winnipeg, because Winnipeg's had their number. Yep. They did last year. They have this year too. And I think you can give, Rene gives them a lot of confidence where they know they just need to put up maybe 2 or 3, and that's all they need to do against pretty much everybody in the league except for Winnipeg. But I think having some extra help up front and knowing, hey, we have some of the guns to match it, and a guy like Granlund helps a lot with that. And we can talk about that if we want. I think I'm excited that I have a team that I'm fine rooting for that Simmons got traded to as a Flyers fan.
I mean, are you going on record and saying that Nashville is going to be your Western Conference team?
Yeah, I mean, they sold me over a year and a half ago when I was there in their stadium. Their barn, Greg,
humble brag.
Rocking. Oh yeah, not a big deal. I sat in the second to last row. It was awesome. It actually was awesome. They played live music while the Zamboni's on. Have you never heard the story?
I mean, relive it for this since this is the third.
So I went to Nashville a year and a half ago for work when I was still at Resource. Noticed the Predators were at home. Went to a game. Sat in the second to last row.
Did you use
Did I see who?
Did you use SeatGeek?
I believe I did use SeatGeek. Used a promo code of a different podcast, so I won't plug them there. Nope. SeatGeek, get after us. Anyway, sat in the second to last row. The place before the game's even starting is rocking. They're playing the Capitals, and I think the final score was like 6-4. Wild, absolutely crazy game. And every time they score, they play an altered version of "I like it, I love it, I want some more of it." And they continue. Oh yeah, and they have him redub the line at the end of the chorus to "Don't know what it is about them Predators scoring, but I like it, I love it, I want some more of it."
Songs.
And yeah, they have him, and it's weird. They have him with a fucking hockey stick pretending to shoot, and it looks like he's swinging around a golf club.
Nice.
But then for 5 minutes, you've seen it on TV in the playoffs, but it's absolutely absurd to be a part of this live where everybody's still on their feet. They're screaming whatever the goalie's name was. So it was the Caps. Holtby. It's all your fault. It's all your fault. I mean, they have all the different 200 level, the upper bowl. They all have different banners and nicknames for themselves. I believe it was like, let's just say 205 was Cell Block 205. Like, it's an absolute madhouse. And if you're a big fan of just the game of hockey in general, throughout the concourse, they have a cool kind of history of hockey in Tennessee and what the Predators being there have done. I believe it's 20 years this year is it, and just how much hockey has grown in the Nashville area and in Tennessee overall, but just showing all the different high school leagues and who's won. I don't think it's called the Predators Cup, but the Tennessee state title. Greg has a quick background, and the Eastern Pennsylvania is the Flyers Cup, Western's the Penguins Cup. They play in Hershey to determine the state cup. So effectively the Predators Cup, the Tennessee title. If somebody has the actual one, please correct me. It's really cool. It's an awesome experience. If you're ever in Nashville, I highly recommend going there. Then it's the Bridgestone Arena is right on Broadway, so you can just exit, go right to your favorite honky tonk, listen to some live music, have a few more brewskis. Awesome experience.
Damn.
I mean, is there a more? I mean, you should work for the city of Nashville. Is there a more? I guess
careful saying that, because Third and Girl might move me there if you really believe that. Yeah, she loves Nashville. She was so jealous I got to go to a Predators game and she didn't.
She might move you there, huh?
Yeah. And the new profession might enable me to work wherever. You know, being all fine. Well, although I'd like to stay in the city of Philadelphia.
Well, I hope Nashville has some good golf courses for the Thunder Cup.
Oh yeah. Oh boys, could you imagine turn it into an actual trip?
I don't want to.
I would love it. I would absolutely love it. Jordy, Dallas Stars, legit playoff team or no?
I think they could make the playoffs. I don't know if they're a legit shot at usurping a Calgary, maybe Calgary just because how young they are, but we similarly to how we kept saying the Penguins are going to make a run, we kept saying Calgary is going to trip up, Calgary's going to trip up, Calgary's going to trip up, and they're the only team in the West with 40 wins right now. They have a plus 47 goal differential. They're on a 6-game heater, 20 games at both home and away, which no other team in the West can say they have. Checking the East, and I don't think any team in the East can say that. They're 20, or no, Tampa can, of course. But yeah, I mean, they know how to play both at home and away, this Calgary. But Dallas, to answer your question, I think a legit shot to make a playoff spot, but I think maybe a 5-game exit. They're terrible on the road. They don't score a lot of goals, which is a big issue and could be coming down the stretch. It's probably the biggest knock against them. They're defensively, they're okay. Jared, what are your thoughts?
I mean, they're 4-5-1 in the last 10. They have a -5 goal differential. Bringing on Zuccarello, that was awesome. He was going to do great. Now he's hurt and he's out for the season. I mean, if you look at it right now, the wild card is your Dallas Stars versus your Minnesota Wild, or your North Stars versus themselves. I don't see Dallas making it. I could see that wagon. I could see the Coyotes somehow, some way going over top of them, or the Avalanche, to be quite honest.
I was going to ask you, do you think Colorado turns it around? Because they've been ice cold in the last month and a half.
Yeah, they're losers of one. They're 5-2-3. If you look at the teams right now, both Minnesota and Dallas are 4-5-1 in the last 10. The Avs are 5-2-1. The Yotes are 6-4-0. And then the Canucks, if you keep going down, are 3-5-2. The Blackhawks are 6-4. And then you got the Oilers, the Ducks.
Yeah, the rest of the West is
the Los Angeles Queens are not they're no longer the Kings.
Anaheim at only 139 in goals. I knew it was bad for them, but yikes.
-56 in goal differential. The hell is that?
Is that a team, Greg? We talked about a lot with them. Just quickly, them and LA. Are we surprised that we didn't see either of them sell off more? I saw a lot. The Bruins were maybe going to try to get Kovalchuk from them. Are we surprised that neither team sold off any of their older guys?
The GM is the coach.
That's a good point. With Anaheim, yeah, their GM is the coach.
I'm surprised by the Kings. I'm not surprised by the Ducks because you're talking about a team that's made the playoffs 3 of the last 4 years. So they think they have the pieces to do it. They can claim injury or whatever this year. But if I were them, yeah, I would have. I mean, we talked about it from Jump Street, Jordy. The LA Kings were this year's San Francisco Giants, and they got all these old guys who past their prime that everyone thought they were going to have a great year because of it, and they just didn't. And we said it from Jump Street. We said it from before the season even started.
Real return to the profit there. I'm glad you said it. Yeah, I mean,
flexing.
They could have. I mean, yeah, the Kings. It surprises me a little bit. They make 1 or 2 trades throughout this, and not a ton else. I mean, there's one too. If Jonathan Quick figure out what they could do with him.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Jared, what are your thoughts on these two guys, or these two teams rather?
I mean, Dallas didn't do much anything. And then you look at the Kings, and to see them really fall from grace. I mean, they're saying, if you look at key additions at the trade deadline, if they have numbers and if they're all just numbers, and by that I mean a 2019 third round pick and a 2019 fourth round pick, that's it. Like, wow, I'm enthralled. Like, that's all I can say on that. Like, what can you say? You got rid of Nate Thompson and Carl Hagelin.
Yeah. Good for Carl Hagelin getting out of that situation. I got a little worried for him when he went to LA, but
we still have no clue why we traded him.
Yeah, it was definitely an interesting spot. What did the Penguins get from LA for him?
I can't even remember. I don't even know.
We can look that up later.
Not even worth looking up.
So the last 2 teams that made probably, I think, one's probably the big splash in Vegas getting Mark Stone. We'll start with them before we go to San Jose getting Nyquist. Vegas gets Stone. They ink him to an extension. I mean, that's the big winner, right? Of the trade deadline. Am I wrong to think that?
Well, long term, yes, big winner. Short term, you have to go with Columbus and all the pieces they got.
Yeah, okay. All right, that's fair.
But long term, yeah, Vegas for sure. I didn't realize that their first draft, they've already traded away 2 out of their first 3 picks.
Ooh, didn't know that either.
Yeah, I mean, they were able to they also have like a stockpile of 1 billion other picks, though, right?
Yeah, but they
basically telling teams, we won't draft this guy if you trade us that guy and these picks, right?
But they traded away their first year of the prospects, right? Their drafted prospects.
Yeah.
So number 1 picks and all that. They traded away 2 out of the top 3, and with another expansion team already being announced, now's the time to keep all your young guys because those are all the guys who are protected.
Yep. That's actually a really good point because Ottawa now loads up. I mean, they're loading up on prospects, and it's going to be a dark couple years in the government building is effectively what that stadium is. But, you're right, though. They got guys. They have an awesome Swedish prospect, I think, that's one of their first round picks, right? His name is not in front of me, but that defenseman, and then they got another guy. They got 2 solid defensemen for, albeit a great offensive defenseman in Mark Stone. But yeah, I think Vegas though they're in a fine spot with the players they have. I mean, I do think long term they're still in a solid spot, especially a Pacific Division that literally is the wild, wild west. It changes every year. We've seen Anaheim do this, and they're not going to this year, but they've been close to dead last. Then they go on just a mini run, and all of a sudden they're leading the division. So I think putting yourself in a spot as they're currently losing to Dallas, speaking of just playoff eligible teams. I think they're in a fine spot, but Greg, that's actually a really good point with Seattle coming into the picture of, will Vegas get Vegased? It's a fair point thinking of 2 years down the road when that expansion draft happens of where will they be?
Yeah, and Vegas definitely made themselves better and definitely made themselves a legit, to make another run here. But the problem is there's so many, whereas the East is top heavy in terms of their top 3 or 4 teams being that good, the West is just a gauntlet of tough series after tough series after tough series. Yes, Stone is a great player, and the fact that they were able to get him an extension makes you wonder, is that the reason why they got him and other teams? I know the Bruins wanted him and a couple other big teams wanted him. So I wonder if they had a deal already in place before they moved him over there. But I mean, imagine being signed in Vegas for that big of a deal for the next 8 years.
Yeah, you also could think they'd probably sign like Marcia Show or Carlson to a nice little extension too. I mean, both of them have been pretty solid, especially Carlson with 40 goals last year. I need to see how many he has now, but you got to think they probably want to build around a couple of their younger dudes who can be pretty solid, future cornerstones, if you will.
Yeah, I agree. And is Marcia Show protected from, like, how young is he?
I will tell you in a second. Jared, what do you think though about Vegas's moves?
With Vegas, it's one of those where, what a story last year, and can it be sustainable moving forward? And I think with what they've done, and here you go, Greg, to your point, how many OG Vegas Golden Knights are left on the roster after the NHL trade deadline? Their first game was October 16th, 17, and from the initial roster, you've had 6 players leave or been shipped away. Garrison, Lepsic, Neal, Perron, Sibsa, and Lindbergh.
Sabisa. Yeah.
What's that, kid?
I was asking, what's the minimum, to answer Greg's question, to be protected? Because this is Marcia Show's 5th year in the league.
Okay.
So in 2 years, he'd be 7 years in, and he's our age, so he'd be over 30. So yeah, I don't think he gets protected, but sign him to a nice little, maybe 3 or 4 year ticket for 4, 5, 6 million a year.
Yeah, seriously.
I mean, not terrible.
I mean, Katy Perry said it best, boys. That's what you get for waking up in Vegas.
That's great. That's fucking great.
Oh man. Hey Jordy, did you see the real story of the weekend that happened? In the hockey world?
What is that?
Did you see the real? Do you want me to? You don't want to even take a guess?
I'm gonna let you tell us.
Know where he was Saturday through Sunday.
Yeah, we already went over this. Yeah, Saturday is a wash for me. Literally, almost got washed away at some point. Thankfully, we're undercover to Jared's savvy business acumen.
Hey,
so this guy posted how to hockey Instagram, but the YouTube video
story.
he mic'd up. YouTube video, he mic'd up his 4-year-old son at what can only be described as a mini mite or learn to skate practice.
He was a kid.
Yeah, exactly. If you click the YouTube link within the bio, he the full video is hilarious.
It is great. It's so great.
It makes you wonder why more parents or why he's the first one to do this, but it also is going to be tough because every parent's going to do it now. But I think it's hilarious. I think it's awesome that this is this dad did this, and one of the more funnier things that you're going to watch and more just bring a smile to your face for all those who either were young playing hockey or know a young hockey player now.
Yeah, it was I did see that video, and it's fantastic. I mean, basically taking the little kids who like to wear their GoPros on ski mountains, who are watching themselves go down, the green circles, and man, I'm the next Bodie Miller, whoever the hell is.
Oh, do not be Bodie Miller.
That's actually a very good point. Problematic, or whomever. I'm blanking on slalom American skiers or Canadians that you could want to be, but basically taking that concept and throwing it on to mite practice, like you said, and absolutely awesome. I mean, but that's also like what it's all about. You see it a lot with, like, we talked about right after the All-Star break, where there were so many little kids there who their moments were made of just getting, equipment handed to them. But this is watching them actually play the game, basically seeing a real life version of those flashback scenes from the Mighty Ducks where Gordon Bombay is narrating the game to himself on the pond. This is that in real life. And the fact that that's still alive and well in the youth of today is awesome to see.
I just hope that kid hasn't peaked at 4 now, because I mean that's concerning. But Greg, I will raise you what the biggest controversy was of the weekend, in my opinion. And I don't know where you were at this point, but why is Gritty's belly button light blue now?
Yeah, this was highly discussed over the weekend. Did we know it was light blue coming in? I feel like there was a discussion of his belly button. Oh, it was previously orange. I don't know. Maybe that was the Gritty tracker. They're talking about doing a puck tracker. Maybe they decided to test it with a Gritty tracker.
So for the folks at home, Gritty's came into the game lit up, looking like one of the drumline crew from the Vegas Golden Knights. He was supposed to land on the ice and landed in a heap outside the rink, once again proving that he's probably some drunk guy from Delco or wherever around the Philadelphia area you may be from, if you're a drunkard and want to be a mascot. And I say that in jest, being from Pittsburgh. So he does that. Awesome. And who was there? It was J-Roll was there. It was Bobo Baggins.
Yeah, it was Jimmy Rollins. Basically, everybody had a representative. Jimmy Rollins for the Phillies, Boban Marjanovic for the Sixers. I believe Tobias Harris was also there.
Also correct.
And Dougie P was there for the Eagles. Did they have a player as well? Was Fletcher Cox there?
It was Kelsey.
It was Jason. Oh, you're right. It was Jason Kelsey. Big hockey fan.
He had a bowl of ice cream and then dropped the puck.
Yep. So everybody had a representative. I'm surprised. So Saturday, I forgot to mention this with the Sixers. It was the Sixers mascot's birthday.
Oh, and Franklin's birthday?
It was Franklin's birthday. Franklin the dog, Greg, the Sixers mascot. The Fanatic wasn't there.
What?
Gritty wasn't there.
Oh, because Gritty's an asshole.
Swoop wasn't there. The Eagles mascot. They had the Delaware Bluecoats horse mascot was there.
Okay.
The Suns, who somehow have a fucking gorilla, which I was sent a story and didn't read it, partially because of aforementioned hijinks that I was a part of. There was Clutch, the flamingo, which no, not the Mountain Hawk. I tweeted at Lehigh Sports because CJ was playing to try to, because I figured Justin LaFleur, the guy who runs a lot of those accounts, is probably manning the accounts. Didn't get a playback though from Lehigh saying I would have liked to see Clutch not to call them out. They do a great job of the Lehigh accounts. I would have loved to see Clutch the Mountain Hawk come out and tackle Clutch this fucking flamingo, the Clippers mascot. The Spurs, I believe he's a dingo. I don't know, dingo, Chihuahua, something. He was there. It was all NBA mascots though, and the one G League mascot. But then none of the Fanatic didn't make an appearance at the Stadium Series. I was a little bummed that we only got Gritty only at the Flyers, not at the Sixers. We didn't get Franklin to come over with Bobby. I mean, Bobby didn't come out on a go-kart. I mean,
Iceberg didn't make the trek for 5 hours from the Berg.
Yeah,
that was upsetting. I thought they could have done more, but my dad brought up a good point. You know, you have that where it's usually just the home team mascot. But we digress. Gritty came out butt-ass naked.
Oh, yeah. We didn't even get the blue belly button.
The blue belly. You know, the blue belly button, don't look that up on some website. You don't want to know. I'm just
yikes.
Yeah.
It's like if you want to perfect your golf swing and you look up perfect stroke. Just don't do it.
How you doing?
Oh,
yeah, one of my coworkers got a talking to for perfect stroke.
One of your coworkers, huh, Jordy? Quotes unquotes. One of your coworkers.
This is how we bring Joe Tona back onto the show.
One of your coworkers. It sounds like the real. We found out the real your secrets as to what you did in the cube life.
Hey, there can only be one.
So Gritty comes out of nowhere, boys, and is butt-ass naked. And to describe it to the folks at home, picture Grimace from McDonald's with unkept, matted fur that probably has, I don't even want to describe in it, human elements of whatever. And he comes out and they catch him, and he doesn't do any gyrations, thank God. No. But he does run across the kiddie rink and do a belly slide. So then he's just soaking wet, and he probably smells like dog.
Yeah, Gritty with his Secret Service chasing him.
Oh, God. And I mean, then he has a blue belly button. Like, I'm confused.
I think it's the Gritty tracker. That's the story I want to stick with. The NHL.
Listen, this is the dumbest conversation because Gritty is the dumbest effing mascot in all of sports, and
I agree.
The Flyers just want representation, Greg.
Nothing makes me more angry than an irrelevant franchise like the Flyers, who haven't done anything in 30 years, and the most irrelevant franchise with
44 years.
Let's create
the number right.
Let's create a dumbass mascot who no one likes.
I've said from the beginning, is this the best that Comcast Spectacor in the Ivory Tower could come up with? But if you get a chance, read the Philly Mag article on Gritty. And once again,
great.
I will have to say, thanks to the City of Champions, Pittsburgh, the only reason
that's a bold claim to say with Greg on the pod.
First.
Greg's dying.
We said it first. We have been called that for years, but I digress. I won't pull the Matty D. Well, we give you freedom, and freedom.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I mean that would be my responsibility to hold it up. I mean, we're the city who just boos everybody, and we boo ourselves. I mean, yeah. I mean, you took it in stride though. It was that's a moment. That's a moment there. That
was good.
That was a great moment.
But Greg, just to bring it back, if it wasn't for the Pittsburgh Pirates leaving Pittsburgh, there you will say AHL franchise, you wouldn't have the Philadelphia Quakers, who became your Flyers, and without Iceberg
Well, it effectively became them. Ed Snyder started a different franchise.
Well, tit for tat.
Yeah.
We gave you hockey.
Kind of.
If it wasn't for Iceberg or the Penguins in general tweeting LOL okay and everybody in Philly going, you ain't fucking with us, Pittsburgh, Gritty would have never taken off. And he has, as much as I agree.
I like that he's backdoor taking credit for Gritty.
Absolutely.
The shittiest fucking mascot in the world.
The real story is that in this Philly Mag article that I know you're definitely going to read, Greg.
Oh, it's a really good article.
It is actually a really good article, and I wasn't sarcastic to it. I just know Greg's not going to read it. Basically the Flyers felt left out when
you don't know me. You don't know my life. You don't know my evil. You don't know what I'm going to do.
Hey, we found out that you have a high profile side hustle. So, Greg,
don't put me on blast.
I'm just going to by myself.
They felt left out that when the Eagles came home from Minnesota a year and a half ago for a game that I'm sure you don't think has been played yet. Jared,
Listen. The Patriots did lose the Super Bowl, but they also won 2 out of the last 3. And they made 3 in a row, which I'm not sure if you do that, Jordy, but the best franchise in all of sports has to be the team that's won 6 Super Bowls in the last, 13 years, 14 years?
18, right? 02 to 19.
So just something to keep in mind for the next
time.
How
many times have Rooney's gotten caught at a rub and tug?
Ooh.
I mean, the downfall to Jerry Jones was his little sex scandal. Oh wait, absolutely nothing happened to him. He's 100% fine. And Kraft has more influence over the league than Jones does. So
but Jerry Jones is going to tell you all about how he was relevant 25 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
We're so off
turn this into cowboy bashing.
We're so off topic about how awesome the Bruins are. It's not even funny.
Yeah,
let's
wrap it up.
What the hell is the Bruins mascot?
Fucking Gritty. The Bruins mascot's a bear.
Named?
Is it the smiling bear from those 90s jerseys?
Ooh.
Remember those things? The mustard gold?
What's the bear's name, dude?
No one knows.
Oh, come on.
No one knows, but he's provocative.
It's provocative.
All right, so last thing as we're wrapping up. We kind of did it with the West. Let's pick
Blade's the Bruin. What a fucking
Blade's
joke.
the Bruin.
Ooh, wow.
Ooh,
that's
threatening.
Stupid.
I want to hear
better than Gritty.
Gritty's misunderstood. But anyway, I want to hear.
Take a lap.
Well, I take that lap. I want to hear your wild card teams for the East, and then if you want to pick division winners, I mean the Atlantic's basically picked, but if you want to pick division winners and 1-2s as well. But I want to hear your wild card teams to close out the night. Starting East, Greg, I'll go to you.
Oh boy, let's see. Well, just to keep my pick alive, I'm definitely having Pittsburgh stay there. And I'm going to go Columbus. Columbus and Pittsburgh, I think, edge out, and Montreal is the odd team out in this case just because they play in the same division with Toronto, the Bruins, and the Lightning.
Are you holding then Islanders, Capitals, Hurricanes on the Metropolitan Division 3?
Well, there has to be 3 from that division no matter what, so...
Yeah. You're not saying Pittsburgh jumps into there, Columbus doesn't jump into there?
That's a great point. I didn't even think about that. Good call, Jordy. Yeah, all right, I'll go Montreal and Columbus. Pittsburgh jumps one of those 3 teams.
Carolina falls out. All right.
Maybe the Islanders.
Yeah. Ooh.
Whoa.
Absolute collapse. All those games in hand. Jared, what do you think?
I think if you look at the Metro on the way down, we're going to have Caps, Islanders, Weenies. And then more than likely the Blue Jackets. And I think the Canadians, I mean, Carey Price, he's a stud. They could have the second wild card. I think the Canes are going to collapse. And the Criers, they might surprise us.
See, as much as I'd like to think the Flyers do, it's really tough.
They're not going
to
to wear their jerseys, and they're going to wear them the rest of the year and make the playoffs.
Or they just go full blue belly button. But to both of your points with Carolina, they have an absolutely nightmare of a March coming up where they do have to play the Flyers 3 times, where they've only played once. Carolina did win. That was down in Raleigh, which why they still play there and not Charlotte surprises me, considering that's where the Panthers and Hornets play.
They're moving back to Hartford.
Ooh, that'd be interesting. Those uniforms, sweet, by the way. But yeah, Carolina has a tough schedule. I don't think the Flyers get it done. I just think there's so much to hopscotch there.
Did anyone think the Flyers were going to get it done?
One guy bet a certain podcaster $1,000 even that they would make it.
They just traded away their best. They just traded not their best, but they just traded away one of their big assets.
I'm not here to advocate for that. I mean, but anyway, my pick. Carolina, I think, also drops out. I think the Penguins they get into that 3rd spot. Yeah, I think the Islanders hold on. I don't know if they win. I think they probably end up being the 2. They could fall to 3 and Pittsburgh gets 2, in which case hold on to your hats because that'd be an intriguing first-round series. Yeah, that leaves Columbus and Montreal. I think they get it. I think Columbus ends up being the 1 wild card to play either New York or Washington, and leaves Montreal having to play Tampa, a series that we've seen a lot in the last 5 years since the format changed over. In which case, it'd be interesting to see Carey Price go against that Tampa team. We didn't talk too much about them, but
they did
them staying pat, might have been the right move. They didn't have to give up anything, and they're still absolute wagon.
They did absolutely nothing.
Yeah, which to circle back in, Matt from Malvern, the fake Matty, if you will, he thinks they were the big winner because they did not make a move, which
and he would because that's Matt because he does nothing.
Oh, the shots fired. Although he doesn't normally listen when he's not on, so he may never.
Yep.
He may never strike back.
Like how many licks it takes to get to center of a Tootsie Pop, the world may never know.
Ho!
Nice.
Go over to the West though.
Oh.
We did it a little bit. You asked if Dallas was a playoff team. I want to hear. This is actually a little more intriguing because those spots are a little more up for grabs. Who wins each division? And give me your wild card teams. Greg, we'll start with you again.
Jesus.
He's playing?
Well played. I think Winnipeg wins the Central.
Wow. Okay.
And I think obviously Calgary holds on to the Pacific.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think Vegas can overcome that deficit.
I don't think it's possible for them to. They're 18 points back with 18 games left.
Slash San Jose, same boat. I kind of like Jared's pick of Colorado or Arizona to jump Minnesota, but that's a tough ask for especially Colorado, or especially Arizona, I should say. So I'm going to say there's no change. I'm going to say all 8 teams that are in it now are going to be in it at the end of the year.
Stays pat. Same wild card order. So Minnesota plays Calgary and Dallas plays Nashville.
No, I think Winnipeg's going to win the Central.
Plays Winnipeg. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say. No, I guess Dallas. I mean, it's 7-8 seed. Doesn't matter. I guess Dallas becomes the 8 seed. Minnesota's the 7 seed. And I think my boy Donato is gonna have a wild an unreal playoff series.
All right.
But yeah, that's my prediction.
Cool. Jared, your thoughts?
It's one of those where I do think the Avs or the Yotes are going to get in. With that, I think probably Colorado over the 2, as we discussed. The Wild have a very tough schedule down the stretch. So at least one of the Stars will get in there, either Minnesota or Dallas. One of them teams that currently are the Stars.
The Barons.
What's slash the? Yeah, you're damn right.
Deep cut.
Yeah, that's pretty good, man. No. The Kings aren't getting in with their gold and purple this year, as we know. I think, Greg, I think it's going to be – I really think I see St. Louis overtaking Winnipeg for the second. I just have a feeling that's going to happen. I think
you think they keep riding that wave that they've been on?
I think so. And I see the Preds winning the Central. The Fighting Johnny Gaudreaus, they'll win. And San Jose will stay there. And the Knights, I think they have enough talent just to stay within the Pacific. So take out the Wild, bring in the Lanch.
All right.
I love it.
I like that. Yeah, I'm gonna go similar to Jared. I got Nashville winning the Central. I do think San Jose is they've geared up a little bit to get up there. I think it's gonna be a fun race down the stretch. Nashville's been on a little bit of a tear, so we might see them dip a bit. So I'm gonna take San Jose to overtake them in a close race. I think it's going to be interesting though. They're going to need to turn it up, especially on the road. Not that 18-14-3 is a bad record, but see them turn it up a little bit, maybe tighten up the goalie situation. Yeah, Calgary takes the 2. I don't think there's any thought that Vegas tries to overtake them. Nashville number 1. I think that order stays the same. Nashville, Winnipeg, St. Louis. And then for my wild cards, yeah, I'm going to actually agree with Jared as well. I'm going to go Minnesota and Colorado. I think Dallas just eventually that goal scoring is going to catch up to you. And, I think while they could sneak into a playoff spot, that close race, I think Colorado's going to figure it out. They got that front line, kind of like what we were talking about before, that could really make some noise. And, Minnesota, as interesting as they've been throughout the season, where goalie's been solid enough, but the offense hasn't always been there, I still think they get it done. Donato been hot. I think they've gone younger, which I think could possibly give them a nice little spark. They're on a 3-game tear right now. So yeah, Minnesota and Colorado for my wild card teams.
There you go.
But boys, we got anything else before we close this thing out?
Yeah, I got one last thing.
All right.
So a 77-year-old man who lost his wife to cancer has donated $400 million plus through his foundation to various charities, and his franchise has won 6 championships / Super Bowls in the last 18 years. If anyone deserves a $60 rub and tug, it's Bob Kraft.
All right, Jared, you have one last thought before we?
I was going to give a peer review, but I can't after that.
We'll save it for let's save it for the next live one, Jared. When we
we'll do it live.
Yeah, when we do NL Central, give you guys a little taste of things to come. Bullpen cart season previews coming your way soon.
Boys, this was an absolute pleasure to be on the blue line with you.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on, Jared. We had to originally, Jared and I were going to try to record one on Sunday. I was in need of recovery. I know you were, as you referred to it, gravelly. So we needed a couple days to recover, and I think this was everything it could have been and so much more. So I appreciate you both taking the time to do this, especially late night. Greg, a ton of fun.
Jordy, go Bees, Celtics. I'm punting on this season, but go Bees.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna continue to pay attention to the Flyers, punting on any sort of playoff hopes, but still pay attention to them. Go Sixers.
Yeah.
Jared, thank you so much for you coming on. We're hoping to see, hopefully get playoff Jared, and we'll see how that goes, and if that happens, we'll get you on we'll get you back on the Blue Line Icing. But
a little playoff preview.
Yeah, we got
it, boys. We
got to do it. But yeah, guys, make sure you, the audience, to follow along with us on all the social medias. ThunderBLG on Twitter, Thunderbug Sports on Instagram, and ThunderbugSports.com, where all of our awesome blogs are. Thank you so much to my 2 friends for coming onto this. Like I said, it was a ton of fun, and we all were nice and flexible of being able to do this around our busy schedules. But for my guys, Jared Barnes and Greg Pitelli, I am Jordy Cannell, the G-Man, and that's going to do it.
Stay classy.
Go Flyers.